these things and in my chains. I am such a loner. San Francisco places got me slowly taking over. I can't wait to show you that I'm gonna take it over. Nico, beast mode. 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 This is not a main thing, really. I'm a coder. Call these things and in my chains. I am such a loner. San Francisco places got me slowly taking over. I can't wait to show you that I'm gonna take it over. Nico, beast mode. 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 Nico, beast mode.
Open up. How do I set this up? I want to set up how do I set up the... Yo, what's up? What's up? How's the audio? How's the audio? How's the audio? The audio's good? What's up? What's up? Let me set up my I can set up my how to set up recording or how to set up mirroring on whenever you want. Coding interview right now. Give me a sec. Let me set up my Quest a bit. How to set up mirroring on Quest. Yo, what's up? B-man. Ruben, you want to run one? You said. You want to run one again? Yeah, for sure. Let me, yo, I got you. Let me just set up my Quest and we can run one in the metaverse, real quick. Let me log in. Yo, it's good so far. Just log in real quick. Yo, John. Yo, let's collab ASAP. I'm gonna call you in a sec. Just keep grinding on your thing. I'm gonna call you in a sec. I'm gonna do some career advice. Devon, you're up first. Ruben, we'll do some too. We'll do some. I'm gonna start off with some career advice, and we're gonna jump into coding interviews. But we'll see what everyone wants. Let me check. Let me just log in. How do you cast? Give me a second. The chat. Yo, I'm in the metaverse. Yo, what's good? In the metaverse. I can't see what the chat is saying. Let me join in my own. Yo, should we do leak code? Drop in. Let's see what we see. Hit with the ad 100%. Hit with the ad right away. Yeah, run 2. Yeah, full screen that thing. Yo, I could pull up like right up to it like that. She's trippy. Chill, Todd. Should we leak code it? Am I lagging? Okay, we're gonna do some coding. We're gonna hop on some coding interviews. Don't hit full screen. This is crazy. Yo, check this out. Click on my channel. We'll do. Yo, this thing's like full computer. You can have like 4 screens. You can have like 3 screens right here. Close this off. Yo, the heck? Look, your hands work too. Look at this. Look, you could turn it this mode too.
Get to our backtrack. Our best result is gold. Oh, I mean, when I'm passing in, I need to pass the current gold
Look at this.
plus what could be out there. Okay, now we got 40. Restore path. Let me fix myself right here quick.
VR 180. Whoa, yo, look at this. Input grid. Grid. Just backtrack it, backtrack it.
Let's add a path here. This time I can debug.
Gotta get out of here.
You saw a result here.
360.
We do saw a result here.
360.
When we were first passing our path.
You look at this. We're in the code. We're in the code.
Out some path here.
Oh, now
No,
you can go.
here, no standard output at all. Or okay, let's see. Every time we call this, every time we're here, we're gonna print the path because we're just seeing what we want to see is how it explores. Eight. Oh, okay, sorry. I had to pass in my name, bro, and make name column here.
Yo, this is crazy. Yo, Paul, I'm gonna do LeetCode in VR. Wait, can you hear me? The audio is kind of trips out a little bit. Yo, let's change up. We're gonna do some code reviews. We're gonna do some code reviews in the metaverse. Yo, can y'all hear me? Or is it echoing or no? Chat. Sounds worse? What is it, echoing or no? No echo?
Okay, what
Okay,
about
what
this?
about this?
Does this
Does
echo
this
or
echo
no?
or no?
Okay.
Okay. Because the thing is, I have like a mic here and then a mic in here. This is the one you're hearing right now is my metaverse mic. Okay, wait, I'm gonna figure out how to do some coding interviews in here. Give me a sec. Okay, who's ready for a coding interview? Yeah, it's going crazy. Am I doing resume reviews today? Wait, let me.
Oh, my bad. Okay, wait. Can you hear me now? Wait. Give me a sec. What the heck? Can you hear me now? Okay, hop in the lounge if you need a career advice. Need to hop on the Discord. I'm in the Discord lounge. Whoever needs. You hit the login. Look at that. Look at that. Let me open up another one where I have my chat here so I can see what people are saying. Yo, what's
Yo,
up?
what's
Who's
up?
in here? Yo, what's good? Who's this?
Yeah, it's Devo.
What's up?
Yeah. So yeah, career advice.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'll give a little bit about background myself. So, I go to Georgia Tech.
Uh-huh.
I'm a junior. Well, it was my first year of college, but I'm like a junior by standing. So I'll be graduating like December 2026.
Uh-huh.
In terms of work experience, last spring I was an AI engineer at a YC startup.
Damn.
This summer I'm interning at Cisco as a SWE intern.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm also work part time at like a unicorn. I do like some API stuff for LLM tooling. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like interested in like NLP and stuff. So the thing I was worried about was like next recruiting season because it's really tough just in terms of getting stuff and like it's definitely a lot competitive. I've been like constantly lead coding. I finished the Neat Code 150, so I'm just like reviewing all the stuff this summer just to get a better hand. And I'm also just reading like a lot of algorithm stuff. So there's like a textbook. It's called like Ericsson algorithms. I've just been going through that. And
Yeah.
in terms of system design, I've also been reading a bunch of system design stuff that I found on like I know Hello Interview is a good resource for that, but I also watch like a lot of just YouTube videos. But I wanted to like know how to just prepare myself for like recruiting in general, just like being able to land stuff because the issue I had last recruiting cycle was that my resume was just too packed, and then that caused a lot of issues. But like now, I think I can get my head get like in a bunch of places, but I just need to ace the interview pretty much. So just tips about that.
I see. So what year are you in again?
So I'm a junior.
Uh huh.
Yeah.
What's that?
So
Like
I
first year,
like
second
so.
year, third year?
Oh, that's like a third year. Sorry. Yeah. So yeah, third year.
Third year? Okay.
Yeah.
And then what companies have you worked at already? Do you already have some work experience?
Yeah. So I worked at a YC startup last spring doing AI engineering, and this summer I'm interning at Cisco.
I see. I see. So you're interning at Cisco. Okay, what was your question again? Sorry, I was just setting up my setup real quick.
No. You're good. You're good. Yeah. So I just wanted to know essentially how to ace the interview in the sense of like something that I'm unclear about is like when you're in the interview,
Yeah.
essentially what do they expect you to do? Do they expect you to do like the brute force first and then optimize, or do you immediately have to dive into the optimized solution? Because I know like some companies better you do have that time limit in terms of like you have two questions, 45 minutes. And then I know some people who are entering with Amazon and they got asked like what's it called? Like they had, you know the like it's like a lead code. It's like K most frequent elements. So they got asked that question and then they did like the heap version of it and then they got auto rejected. So I'm really confused about how to approach the interview in terms of like getting the first solution on the board, how to optimize that stuff.
Yeah, well, okay. All right. So, with most interviews, what you want to do is honestly, if I already know the answer, I would never say that I know the answer right away, and I would work my way through always the
Hmm.
most naive solutions up until the most optimal. Best case
I see.
scenario, the best case scenario is you get asked a question, you know multiple solutions, and you talk through all the
Right.
different
Okay.
solutions. But honestly, it all depends on the company. So depending on what company is, the process is different. Sometimes they want you to get to the solution right away. Sometimes they don't want you to get it right away. I mean, it actually really
Mhm.
all depends on the company. Honestly, most companies, you could take your time with it.
I see. Okay, yeah, because I know like I'm interested in like the Meta SWE intern position, and I know like from one of my friends who did get the internship that it's really just a time crunch. You have two questions, I think 45 minutes. So I'm assuming in that type of situation, you are expected to know the optimal solution right off the bat, correct?
Yeah, for that one, yeah, 100%. You should know it. You kind of need to know it off right off the bat.
Yeah, and then another thing is that something that I struggle with a lot in terms of just lead code in general. So I've been I'm done with the Nico 150 list. So like the one that like Nico.io.
Yeah.
But what I'm worried about is being able to like extrapolate the patterns I learned because some companies, from what I've like heard around and like from my experience interacting with others, they'll ask verbatim leak codes. I know Amazon does a lot of that. I think so does Meta because I know they're like the top, the like last 3 months top tag. Like if you don't know like 100, 200, there's a good chance you will get a few of them. But like I'm concerned about like companies like Google where they literally do not actually use public questions. They have all their internal stuff. And I'm not really sure how to practice that like extrapolation, of like, oh, like I've seen this question. Okay, wait, this new question I've seen is like similar to that, but I just have to change like a few details. So that's something that I was also curious about in terms of like getting the approach down.
Wait, what's the question on that?
So like, how do you like extrapolate like stuff to like new questions, if that makes sense? Like, I've like you've seen a question, but like the question they give you is like a variant of it or like something that's similar. How do you like make that connection, if that makes sense?
How do you make the connection? Well,
Yeah,
all
is it just a lot of
questions.
practice?
Yeah, I think. How did you study leak code so far? The way that I tell people to study all the time, and the way that honestly didn't do the first time I did it was go topic by topic, data structure by data structure. So that means
Mm-hmm.
literally starting with arrays, right? Going from
Right.
arrays, learning theory of arrays, learning arrays implemented from scratch, right? And then going from like linked lists, learning linked lists from scratch, all the different operations of adding to a linked list, inserting into a linked list, deleting from a linked list, and doing a bunch of linked list questions, linked list from scratch. Literally going from data structure to data structure, then going from pattern to pattern, really mastering those top data structures and those top patterns. And after you know all of those, at that point, then you just start taking on random questions. So that helps you at least know the foundations. And then when you get a random question, hopefully they fit in one of those buckets. But at that point, once you learn all
Mm-hmm.
of those, then you just start trying to optimize really hard for, like solving harder and harder questions. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. So essentially, it's just a matter of being very foundational, right, and like working up from there. But and I have another question. So
Sure.
how do you deal with like not knowing the answer like immediately, if that makes sense? If you've seen a question, I'm like in an interview, you have no clue how to solve it. Obviously, like it looks kind of bad to ask the interviewer for hints immediately, right? So how do you like balance that approach of like, oh, like I need to grind this, figure this out right now, or oh, I'll just ask the interviewer for like a hint.
I think you should usually getting a hint from the interview will negatively affect your score. So most of the
Okay.
times you want to make sure that you are able to solve the question.
Hmm.
Um, Usually getting a hint is going to negatively affect the score. Honestly, I've never passed an interview where I didn't knock it out the park, especially in this job market. So I think just the bar is really
Okay.
high. So honestly, keeping it real, like you just gotta just make sure that if you get a question, you've already seen it, you can solve it right away. Every time I get a question I never saw before and I kind of flop it, I don't expect a call back because that's just how the market is right now.
Oh damn.
I don't even know.
Okay.
It's kind of rough.
Yeah, it is. It is pretty rough.
Where are you
Okay, I
working right
see.
now?
I'm working at Cisco right now, SWE
Okay.
intern.
What's your goals? Like, where do you want to work at?
Ideally, I'm like, I'm actually not fully sure. I know like it's in three spaces. Either I want to work at like a high growth YC startup. I really enjoyed my time doing what work at the YC startup as an AI engineer last semester, so that was cool. Obviously, I think Fang is a really nice spot as well, like Amazon, Meta, Google. But I'm also like a little interested in like the unicorns, just because I feel like they do a lot of like cutting edge work. I feel like Databricks or like that stuff. But yeah, I think one of those three would be pretty ideal. But I don't even know in this market. Honestly, I'd take anything.
Yeah, I mean, are you at Georgia Tech as sort of are you like online or doing it the full one?
Oh yeah. It's I'm doing my bachelor's there, so like in
Okay,
person.
okay. Because there's the
Yeah.
online one too. I see.
Yeah, the master's.
How
Yeah.
are you liking it so far?
But yeah, no, I think it's a great school. Obviously not like as prestigious as like a MIT or a Berkeley or whatever. but I don't really think that matters. I think they teach you like a lot of core CS stuff really well.
Yeah.
I know a lot of friends who are working in big tech. I think we feed into pretty much every big tech like company. Like there's Georgia Tech alumni pretty much everywhere. So I think it's a great school.
No, it's definitely a good school. Yeah. You got this,
Yeah,
man. You
I
got
mean,
this.
yeah, thank you. I think I DM'd you on LinkedIn for like
Yeah, what'd you
a
say?
meta
What'd you say?
referral.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, like you
Yeah.
responded, and I also asked you like, so I'm like a big fan of like your what's it called, your coding interview videos, but hold on, I'll pull it up. I asked you like
Appreciate
for
it.
a specific like request, like
Oh,
I
what's
was
the
wondering if you
request?
could drop one on intervals as well, like
Oh, I see.
interval questions, like merge intervals and stuff like that. Um, as well as like so you have a graph question, but those graph questions are more matrix based. If you could focus one on like creating like adjacency lists, and then
Oh,
also like
you're the
it
one who
would
asked that one? Nice.
yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah, yeah.
remember that.
And also like I didn't message you this specifically, but it would also be really clutch if you could drop like I know you have a video on Alien Dictionary, but like if you could drop like a general video on like Puskals, Prims, Dijkstra's, or like Toposort, like it's just explaining the algorithms and like going over like some important edge cases and stuff.
Yeah,
That would also be pretty
that
cool.
makes sense.
Yeah, but yeah. Yeah, I asked you for a referral, but I will let you know when the
Just
internship
message me,
drops.
bro.
And
Message me.
get you
Message me, yeah.
Yep, I got you. Got you.
How are
Yeah.
you how are you with
Yeah,
LeetCode already?
I think I'm decent. I'm like done with Neat Code 150. I just finished it yesterday.
Damn, the
But
whole list?
yeah, like yeah, the whole list. I did like the advanced like DP stuff the last couple of days, which was pretty hard. But um, yeah, I think I'm decent. But like I think I still have to do practice. I don't really know uh the interview approach. So what I'm doing right now is just going through Neat Code 150 again and just detailing like my approach in the interview setting in terms of going from like a naive solution to the optimized one, and then just outlining my reasoning, because sometimes like I'll know how to solve a question, right? But
Yeah.
then I'll like mess up how to explain it, and then the interviewer won't know how I did it. That happened to me on my Cisco interview because I had to like clarify a bunch of times about what I meant. So I had to like write that down somewhere and just study a little bit.
Yeah. No, it happens, bro.
Yeah, but yeah, thank you so much
Bro,
for your content. I
thanks
think
for tuning
like
in, man. Thanks for tuning in.
yeah, dude. Like honestly, like I watch like a lot of these content creators, and I think you provide the most useful information, the most like valid
Really?
stuff.
Right.
Yeah, no, like I like so now I can tell you why, because so Georgia Tech, everyone wants to be a tech influencer from Georgia Tech. Like you've probably seen so many like
Really?
Carter. Do you know Carter Backstate, like the
No.
Brev Dev guy, the Nvidia guy? There's
No.
also Sajad. They're like pretty big CS content creators, but
Oh.
I think like you're like I think the one that provides I think the most useful content. Those people just like say generic career advice, but like I've learned so much just watching. Like I watched your entire Leet Code playlist in terms of like going through linked lists and like the whole like topic wise binary search. And I've been following along doing those questions, and I was able to like I think just solidify my approach. So like thank you so much for that
Right.
content.
Yo, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it. Like,
Yeah,
I'm happy
I'm
to hear
not trying to
that.
glaze, but like I'm not trying to glaze, but like I watch like a lot of CS content creators. Like I get the most value like tuning into your live stream. So that's pretty much all.
Yeah. Respect. And you're gonna land that job. Are you able to get interviews?
Yeah. So last cycle I got a bunch of interviews. Most notable ones being Cisco and then two other Y Combinator startups. But since I already worked Y Combinator, I wanted to get at least big tech in my resume, so I got Cisco, and I'm
Nice.
interning there this summer. But I think honestly, if I just keep practicing lead code, refining behavioral stuff, and everything, I'll be able to pretty much do pretty good on interviews next cycle. But I'm not too stressed. I am a little stressed though, just because you know how bad the market is and everything. But I think it'll work out just because I have a pretty good school on my resume and I do have like relevant experience.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Respect. Let's see. What did you just saying? What else? What other
But yeah,
questions?
No, that was pretty much it. Yeah. So I just wanted to know how to like ace the interview or like do better. But yeah, that was
Why
pretty
you
much it
failed
in terms
some?
of.
You failed some or no?
Oh yeah, no, I definitely failed. So I had an interview with Humana, which is like the IT, not IT, insurance company. It was like a weird technical. They asked me to like implement. I think it was like implement merge sort from scratch, and I wasn't expecting it at all. Like, did not expect to do that, and I completely just dropped the ball.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So I passed Cisco. I passed those other YC startups, but I picked Cisco just because I wanted something else on the resume.
Yeah. That makes sense. What are you what's your end goal? Do you want to like start your own startup or you want to keep working at companies?
Yeah, so I think I'm still debating. So one part of me does want to go to grad school because I'm like interested in like ML engineering and stuff, and I think grad school gives you like a good foundation in that. Another part of me wants to like to stay at companies, and then after I stay at a company for a while, it's like a matter of getting the ability to like lateral into another one or head over to like make my own startup. So probably work at a company and then startup.
I see. Yeah, bro, you're ambitious. You got this,
Yeah,
man.
I
Lock
feel like
in.
yeah, yeah, thank you, bro. Yeah, I will. But yeah, that was pretty much everything. I will link you on LinkedIn, message you whatever if I have any other video requests or anything. But yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Yo, Chad is tweaking. Chad is tweaking. Bro, I live in a 200 square feet low. I live in a 200 square feet apartment. There's no other place where I can put my stuff.
All right, I'll catch you, bro. Thank you so much for
When
the
are you
advice.
when
Good
are
night,
you
bro.
when are you doing a mock? When do you want to hop on a mock?
Oh, honestly I don't want to hop on a mock just yet. I want to like review everything first and like get that done before I want to hop on a mock just so I feel comfortable like content wise. But I will let you know.
All right. Bet. Nice talking to you, man. Appreciate you.
Yep, nice talking to
Thanks
you as
for
well.
appreciating it for real. Or thanks for
Yeah, no, no, no. Yeah.
supporting, watching all my stuff, like giving me feedback, giving me suggestions on what I should like what interviews I should do. Super helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. Just because there's not like a lot of other YouTube channels that do like lead code content review. A lot of them just solve lead code problems and just post that.
Yeah.
But the playlist you have has like a little bit of structure where you like cover the data structure, do some pitfall stuff, which I find is pretty useful like for learning.
Yeah.
But yeah.
How's your role at Cisco so far? Is it good so far? You're
Yeah, it's
learning.
pretty cool. Pretty yeah, yeah, it's super cool. I do like a lot of cybersecurity related stuff. So like
Nice.
software engineering and like security defense stuff for emails. So I think it's really cool because I think Cisco has one of the best like cyber focuses among big tech companies just because they're like a networking based focus. So yeah, it's pretty informational. It's pretty good.
Mm, that's crazy. Yeah. Good luck, man. Keep me updated. Let me know how everything's going. Yeah, just message me at
Yeah, definitely,
any
bro.
moment.
Yep, I got you.
All
All right,
right.
have a good
Nice
night, bro.
talking to you, man. Hopefully, I answered your question. I'm a little tipsy right now. Can't lie. Ooh. Raccoon is hilarious. Okay, let's get someone on the mock interview. Yo, who's on the mock? Okay, hop in the lounge. Hop in the lounge. Oh yeah, I think Ruben asked for it first. Hop in the lounge. My interviews didn't say anything after pasting the leak code. Everyone has their own strategy for how they do their interviews. Some people are quiet. Some people are like to talk a lot. It all really depends. Ruben, what's good?
What's good?
What's up, man? How you doing?
Pretty good. How are you?
Pretty good. Did we do a mock interview before or no?
No, I've been watching and in the chat for a
No
long time, but
way.
we've
You've been
never
in
actually done one.
Say, swear, you've been in the chat for so long. Yeah, I was like, there's no way we've never run an interview. It's actually crazy.
Yeah, man, it's because during the year I never had the time because of school, and then recently I've been really busy, but today's just the day that I have time.
That's lit. Have we ever talked yet?
Not on the mic, no, just through
No
chat.
way. That's crazy.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, I'm gonna set up the coding interview.
Sounds good. I'm low-key kind of washed, but we'll see how this goes.
Yeah, I see. So funny. I'm running this thing on the metaverse. You're gonna be my first interview on the metaverse.
But bro, taking notes in a metaverse is gonna be kind of hard though.
Nah, it's okay. I'll just write it down somewhere. Let's see. Shabazz, do you have CoderPad 2? Or, sorry, do you have a VR 2? I don't have any games. Quest 3? Yo, we should link up in the metaverse. That'd be hilarious. Yeah, Meta has free food. Okay, I'm gonna send you the link.
You said you sent it?
Yeah, let
Oh,
me
yeah. Okay, I got it.
look at the same thing here.
Okay, I should be in.
One sec. Just logging in on my VR. Have you used VR before?
No, I haven't.
Yo, it's actually crazy. If I can get in there without logging in. Oh man, they're making me log in. Perfect. Okay, we're in there. Alright, perfect. You can hear me,
Alright.
right?
Were you able to get it? Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't play chess. Let me bring this closer. What the heck? How do you... Why is it shrinked? Perfect. How do you make this full screen? Alright, perfect. Have you ever used a backtracking solution in production? No, I don't know. Okay, wait. Let me set this. Let me just get it up close. Where am I? Okay. All right. Okay, I'm gonna start this. Hello everyone. So I'm gonna be the first person to do a coding interview in the metaverse. Who do we have here? Ruben, what's up?
Yeah, my name is Ruben.
What's up? Can you give a background on yourself?
Yeah, I'll give a little bit of background. Like our last guy, I'm a current junior at Georgia Tech. I'm interning at a small finance company in Chicago. Last summer, I interned as a network engineer at another small company located right outside of Chicago.
Nice.
And yeah, I have around 450 LeetCode questions solved.
Wow, 450
Most of
LeetCode.
which I did. Yeah. Most of it I did a few months ago, so I haven't been that active on it as of recently, but
Okay. When's the last time you touched LeetCode? Has it been a while?
oh no, I try to always do the daily, but like I'm not out here doing like 3 or 4 questions a day like I used to.
I see. I see. Okay, so how are you with the different algorithms? How are you with graphs?
I'd say across the board, just 6 or 7. I mean, I think I'm better than average on all of them, but I'm not like a 8 or a 9. I'm not like
see.
insanely cracked, so
I see. Okay, let me look
I
for a
think I
first
have a
question.
good breadth of questions.
Let me
Sounds
look for a first question. Give me a sec. Give me a sec. Let me pause this quick. Quick question. Um, you watch basketball?
No, I don't. I don't really keep up with sports.
Okay, I was like, dude, the next game was crazy.
I heard. Was it close?
It was. It was like they only won by a few points. Bro, I can't believe this is the first time we
Oh.
talked and you've been on the chats for so long.
I know, man.
This is actually crazy.
I'll have to start running them more. Maybe
Yeah,
I'll come in for
100%.
career advice one day.
Yeah, let's get it. Let me find you a good question.
Don't go too hard on me.
Oh, yeah, don't worry, don't worry. I'll post it. Give him a leak code hard. Tripping. 3031. Wait, let me ask him one that I know. Let's see. Give me a sec. Okay, I'm gonna post. I'm gonna post in the very first question.
Okay.
Ready?
Sounds good.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Wait, let me fix up the. What's your language of choice for
Python
these?
for sure.
All right, bet.
Yeah.
So, wait, let me fix up the example.
Yep.
I need to figure out how to connect my computer to my AirPods or to my VR set. Okay, perfect. All right, so let me explain this to you. Wait. There you go.
Yep.
So you're given an m by n integer matrix grid, and you're given three integers: row, column, and color. Each value in the grid represents the color of the grid square at that location. Basically, the goal is to color around each color. Wait, let me read
Okay.
it. What am I saying? Okay, I'll let you read it actually. I can barely read with this VR.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So just give me a couple minutes. I'm gonna read it on my own, and then I'll try to reiterate and see if I understand correctly.
Mhm. Gotta hit the add. Don't worry, I'm only gonna do a couple of mocks like this. I gotta at least try one out. Wait, I can't. What's up? Are you here still?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay,
Sorry,
just
I'm
reading
just
it.
trying to. Yeah, I'm just trying to understand the question. I've read it, but I'm looking through the examples, and I'm just trying to make sense of the examples.
What the heck is this question asking?
Okay.
Going on? It's tweaking.
Hmm.
So what are you thinking so far?
Yeah, so first, by looking at this question, reminds me of a similar question that I've seen, which requires for a DFS, and that's what I'm thinking,
Wait, could you
but I
explain what the
can't make.
question is asking to the chat?
Yeah, so basically, you're given an n by n grid, and then you're going to be given a row and a column number, and then you want to color around it, from what I see. So like, we're given two squares that are called adjacent, and let's see. Yeah, and then each number corresponds to like a different color, I guess you could say. So like, in
Wait,
here,
could
these are
you format that to be a grid? Like turn it into a grid instead of the one-dimensional thing.
yeah, like this.
Might be easier. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So like
Okay.
here we have this. I can do it for everyone, I guess.
I see.
And then for this one, we can do the same thing. Alright, and then we can do the same with the answers.
Yo, chat. It's way better quality. Like in this VR, it's kind of like tweaked out a little bit. So. Why'd you keep tweaking?
Okay, so the question itself makes sense to me in my head. And especially this third example makes a lot of sense. So like if we're at grid 1-1, because it gives us row 1. Can you see my highlights?
Yeah, I can see your highlights.
Yeah. So if it gives us row 1, column 1, it would be this one right here. And so what we would want to do is color it to the color. So everything in the 0th and 2nd would be color 2, and then around it would be 2. So I'm struggling to see for 1 and 2 how it's coloring around it. So like if we're given 0, 0 in example 1, that would be this one right here. And then I would think that you would color around it, so that would be 2 because these are the same colors, but instead it's coloring itself. If that makes sense.
Wait, okay, let me read the question. Yeah, my hand. Oh. So two squares are adjacent if they are next to each other. Two squares belong to the same connected component if they have the same color. You should color the border of the connected component that contains the square grid. Oh, what the? Oh, no. Alright. No way. How do I unzoom? Uh-oh.
Are you stuck?
I'm stuck. Wait, let me see. Wait, how do I unzoom? Yo! Wait. How do I unzoom? Wait. Let me pause quick. It's trippy. How anyone have a VR? You know how to zoom in and out? Locate the window, identify. Wait, sorry. Dude, who has a VR? Okay, wait. Zooming out. Oh, there you go. Perfect. Okay, we're back. We're back on track. We are back on track.
Yeah, did you see what I was talking about with the examples?
Yeah, you just need to color the border, right? So it says you should color the border of the connected component. So since you're giving 0, 0, you have to color the border of the ones with 3. But since it's just all ones, it's just all colored with 3, right? And same with what's 0 and 1? 0 and 1?
0, 1 would be here.
Yeah,
Zero.
and you see that it colors that as well with 3s.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, and then
So
and then now look at the 1, 1, 1. It colors
Yeah.
if you turn output into take the output and turn it into twos or turn it into rows, and you'll see that it wants you to color the middle ones, like basically the border of that of ones with the color 2. And you see how that turns out into twos all around that one.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna go through my thoughts in the here. We'll delete the constraints for now, and then I'll just go through my thoughts right here.
Sure.
So inside of our current color, we want to color the border, right?
Yeah.
So what I mean by this is in the third example, I think this is the best example. It's all ones, but we want the border of the ones. So like these are at the top, so they're technically at the border. And then the ones around it, so like to the left and right of 1, 1, these are also in the current group. And then the ones at the bottom, of course. So we want to color the border. So right off the bat, we know that this is a grid problem or a matrix problem. So we either want to use a DFS or a BFS. I'm unsure of which is going to be easiest right now, but I'm just gonna try to think my way through it. And we also need to think about how to determine if it's a border or not.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's see.
We just need to basically paint the border of whatever cell we get.
Yeah. So like here, let's go through example 1. So we're given 0, 0, and then I guess itself can be considered a border as well since it's colored in as 3. So you always want to color in yourself. We can make a note of that. So we always want to color the starting point with color, if that makes sense. And then I assume we want to go through all of them. Now we figure out, no, never mind. We don't always want to. Okay. So example 3 refutes that. We don't always want to color it with the itself. So how do we know if we want to color ourselves? So let's get 1. Go
Yeah.
here. Okay, so we're given 0, 1, so that's going to be this 2. Oh, okay. So I have a clarifying question.
Sure.
Is the border considered like, okay, so let me set up my own example. If we have like something like this, I'm just gonna make this all ones and then we'll do something.
Something is at a border if it's to the right of the actual border of the grid, or it's
Yeah.
to like a non-color, not the same color.
Okay,
So if it's
okay.
at a 1
So
and it sees a 2, if it's a 1 and it sees a 3, that means it's at a border.
okay, so clarifying. So if we were given, this is our row column, this 2 right here in the middle, would these around it be considered the border?
Which one?
If this 2 right here, this 2 in the middle,
Yep.
if we were given that, would these 2 on the
Yep.
outside
Yep.
be considered
I
the
mean
border?
that's example 3 right there, right?
Yeah, I guess
Yeah,
so. But
yeah.
I made it a bit longer because I didn't know if it meant the actual like border as in like the end of the array, if that makes sense. Okay,
No. It's
that sounds good.
anything that's on the
Okay.
actual border should get counted.
Yeah. Okay. So I think right now what we want to do is opt for a DFS solution. At least that seems the most intuitive to me. And I'm trying to think about how to discover, how to not discover, but how to know if it's if it's a border or not. So say for instance we're at this 2, we've made our way to this 2. How do we know that this is a border? We know that's a border in the top or at the bottom because it's at the 0th or the last row. Also the same with the columns, or if it's next to 1, right?
Yeah. How do you know if
Yes.
something's a border? Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think about how to format the DFS. Let's think. We do this and we treat it. Yeah.
Wait, why are you given a row and a column? Well, you're given a row and column because it tells you what
That's your
cell you
start.
just to start at, right? It
Yeah.
tells you this is the cell you start at, and just paint the color of the border from this cell. You understand the question, right? There's
Yeah,
nothing
I
wrong here.
understand the question perfectly. I'm just trying to
Okay.
think about how I want to approach this.
Okay. What are your thoughts? Like, what are the different ways that you're thinking of solving it? Maybe write down a
Yeah,
few
so
notes.
since it's a graph, I know that we need to use either a DFS or a BFS. And this question sort of reminds me of a question like number of islands. So I'm kind of siding with the DFS. But the issue that I'm coming to is how to figure out whether the current row and column that we're at in the DFS is a border or not, right? So like if we're at a border, we know we want to color it color. Um, and getting there, we want to stay inside of like our current. I'm gonna call it an island, I guess, because like, or like inside of our current color, because we want to color the color. So like, we could do a DFS or a BFS throughout our current color, and then once we reach the border of our current color, then we know we want to color it this color, and then we just eventually return that once our DFS or BFS is terminated. So, just trying to think, how would I do this? So, we obviously want to
Honestly,
maintain
I
like
don't
a
think it
visibility.
matters if it's gonna be a BFS or DFS. The thing that matters is when you get to a border, you color it.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm thinking if we were to use a BFS, we want to use a queue, and then we want to add our first row and column to it. Go through the surrounding and determine whether it's a border. That's what we want to do. So okay. Sorry, I'm really just trying to think. I'm still thinking about how to determine if it's a border. So if it's next to another number, it's a border.
How you're thinking about how to determine if it's a border?
Yeah,
Same
like
thing?
yeah, like
Well, when you get to a node, how do you know if it's a border? Well, if you look up and it's out of bounds, or you look up and it's the number is not the same number as you know it's a border, right?
yeah. The
So
easy way to do this would be using a DFS or a BFS, treating it like number of islands per se, and then for every row or column we visit in there, we change it to the color. But the problem with that is that it's coloring everything inside of that group of color and not just the border.
we'll just do. How can you modify that approach?
Yeah.
It's like,
So we
what
know
what do you
that
need
if it's
to do to modify that approach?
okay, so let's just state some nouns. It's considered a border if we're at like the end of an array or like the beginning, right? So like if we're at row 0, we know that it's going to be a border. If we're at the last row, we know it's going to be a border, or if we're at the last column or first column, it's going to be a border. We also know it's a border if it's next to another number.
That's not itself, right?
Yeah, that's not itself. Okay. So then how do we check for that? Okay, so in this example, we're given 0, 0. So if we use the DFS, we find that here it's the last, here's the last. So then we change it to 3, 3. Here is also the last, so I guess we can include itself because itself is on the edge. Okay, that makes sense. And then 0, 1, that's going to be this 2 here. So then all the numbers in the group would be this 2, these are on the edge, so it would be changed. And it's next to another number. Okay. Okay. I think here I'm going to opt in for using a DFS.
Sure.
I think it just seems like the most intuitive to me. So let me just write down how I would use it. So first we want to call it DFS, starting at our original row column, right? So our call will look something like DFS row column. We would pass it in. Kind of just doing pseudocode. If we're out of bounds, just return. Right? There might be a separate return condition. And then what makes like another separate function outside of the DFS, like is border or something. So we'll say like to do is border. That takes in something. And then if is border, then our grid row column is going to be equal to our color.
I think it
And
makes
then
sense. You don't have to write it in the comments. You could just straight implement it.
I know. I just like going through it like this first,
see.
and then I'll
Okay,
go
that
through
makes
like
sense.
I'll go through like my own example or something, just to make sure that it makes sense and like logically
I see.
it makes sense before I get into the hard implementation.
Okay.
So if it is a border, then we're gonna color it the color, and then I think we would just want to go through like directions. So like for ACE, AR, AC, and we'll do like directions. So uh, 0, 1. No, 8 DFS on this. No, column, and then it would be something like that. That makes sense to me. And then at the end, we just return our grid. Now, the problem is the is border. If we're out of bounds, or
Who joined?
our current color doesn't equal the original color, we just want to return because we want to stay inside of our current color group. And then we also want a visited set because we don't want to keep going, so we'll say like visited. Who was that?
Man, people just joining you know.
Okay, or we have visited
Or-
the current row column. This makes sense to me. There might be some edge cases in this, but we'll continue with that. Now, how to do is border. Is border. We're gonna take in a row column. We know that. And then how do we determine? So we said if it's on the edge of the grid, then it's a border. So we want to return true. And then at the end, if none of these cases meet, we always want to return false. So what are the cases? If it's on the edge of the grid, like here, 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 then we know it is. Or if it's next to another number. So I guess, would we just check every direction? Check every direction to see if it's next to another number? Guess that would work. So if it touches the edge. Okay. Let's go through like everything next to it. So like go through those in all directions next to it. Sorry if this isn't understandable. I'm doing like half English, half actual Python. If cell next to it. True. Okay. I actually think this makes sense. What do you think of this? What do you think of this approach?
Wait, can you explain it?
Yeah, so basically we're gonna call a DFS, and this works by staying inside of the current number. So if we're out of bounds or we're not at our original color, then we're just gonna return, right? Because we don't want to be there.
Yeah.
Or if we visited it because we don't want like to go somewhere infinitely many times. And then after that, we're gonna check. I forgot something. We're gonna add it to visited, but our current row column, right? Anyways, if it is at a border, we're gonna color it the color that's specified.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna go in all different directions, and then we're gonna run DFS on that new different direction, and we're gonna keep doing that until we've eventually colored in all the borders in theory. And then the isBorder function works by checking if it's on the edge of the grid. Then we're gonna return true because we specified that like if it's on the edge, then it's considered a border. And then if we're gonna go through all the cells next to it, right? So like on the outside, and if it's next to another number, then we're gonna return true, meaning that it is a border. Else, we're just gonna return false.
Yep, makes sense.
Okay. So I'm gonna move forward with implementation, and then we'll see where this goes. Okay. Actually, for most of this, I can just take this, and we'll see what we'll do. Okay. We'll take this if we're out of bounds. So. Out of bounds. So check out of bounds. So if rows.
The avatar editor.
Zero. Equal original color. So we'll define a variable called like original. Going to be rid of the original row column. Original color. Or row column and visited. We're going to do this. Oh, what am I doing? Making this a set. Okay. We don't have grid defined, but that's fine for now. All of this is gonna be in like, and then we're gonna be given a row column and a color. We're also gonna be given a grid, but that's fine. At the end, we want to return the grid, and then we want to make change. So right now, I'm just writing out the DFS function that I specified earlier, changing some variable names so that we don't have any conflicts. Yeah, okay. So now for its border, okay. Oh. This is what we said we want to do. So now how do we want to... I think we can take the code from below and use this. Now we can do this. If any of this doesn't make sense, I can clarify.
No, 100% makes sense.
Okay. So now,
Some water.
to return true. All right. And then if it's on the edge of the grid, okay. So this should make sense, right? So if 0, 0, 0, we're gonna return true. Else at the end, we're gonna return false. So let's go through a couple of these cases to see if it functions as expected. This return false should be here. So let's see. We're gonna go through a DFS that's gonna make sure. Or grid. Okay. So for example, 1 grid. We're gonna start at our current row column. So let's make sure we actually call the DFS here. DFS on our row column. And we're gonna start here. Move here. Stay there. It is on the edge. Then it gets colored. This also gets colored. This gets colored. When we get to the 2, we return and it goes unbothered. Okay, that should work correctly. And then now we start at 0, 1, so we're at the 2. 2 gets colored. This 2 also gets colored. This would also get colored. That makes sense. These all make sense. Yeah, does this make sense to you? Do you think we're clear to run?
Wait, walk me through line by line.
Yeah, okay. So we'll start here. Color border, this is just like the parent function for it all. Like for the test cases. So we're obviously going to be given a grid, we're going to be given a row, column, and then the color that they want us to color it in as.
Yep.
Where row column is like your starting point.
Sure.
And then here we have a variable called original color, and this is just like to keep track of what our original color was, like that's different from this one.
Yes.
And then we have a visited set because we don't want to visit any of the same things twice or more than that potentially.
Yep.
And now for is border, this first check is checking whether it's on the edge. So if the row is 0, column is 0, or it's at the last row or column, oh, -1. Glad I
Okay.
got that.
Nice. This is why we do walkthroughs.
Yeah. So if it's on the edge, we want to return true because that means it's a border. And then now we're going through every direction. ARAC just stands for add row, add column. It's just something I've always done. And then we calculate the new row and the new column based on this. Basically what this is doing is it should be checking like everything next to it. And if we encounter something that is inbounds and it's a different color from the original color, then that means it's a border and we just immediately return true. And if it's not at like the border of the matrix or it's not next to a new color, then we just return false. And then in the DFS, we go through, and if it's out of bounds or it's not the original color or we've already visited
Wait,
it,
so if it's
we return.
in between those, if it's in between, we return true. That means it is a border.
No, so here we're just checking if it's in bounds and the color isn't the original color, because here we check
Okay.
for, it would never call on something out of bounds because here in the DFS we check for out of bounds.
I see.
And-
Okay.
So here we check for out of bounds, and then here's where we call it.
I
So
see.
we add it to visited. So we make sure that it never like revisits it. So this shouldn't be called on something like that we've already visited like more than once. And then if this returns true, let's add the parameters. So we said we want a row column, so our current row column. So if our current row column meets one of these two conditions, then we color it in with the specified color. Otherwise, we just continue in all the other different directions and make sure that we are inside of the same original color.
I feel like if the okay, run it onto a few examples and just make sure it's working correctly.
Yeah, I ran it through. Hopefully I'm not gaslighting myself, but I think it would work. So like here, I'll take my self-made example.
Or just like actually
Oh,
do some test cases, like run it on some
oh,
test cases
okay.
and print out the result.
Yeah, sure. So instead of let's print the grid as well. Now we're gonna have a grid like this. Grid, and then a row column will make it something better. And it doesn't matter. We'll make it like 0.3. Or here, we'll just use one of the actual examples.
Yeah, let's just use one of the actual inputs and outputs here.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
Let's use example
Like
3.
this.
That one's more complicated.
Okay, for sure. We'll do this. We'll use color border. Do this, and then just pass in 1, 1, 2. Here's something it doesn't like. We'll print this. Okay, run. What is the expected? 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 2. Okay, so this example looks like it works. Do you see that on your screen?
Yep.
Let's use example 2.
Wait, go back down?
Yeah.
It doesn't look like it's... Oh, wait. Can you print it out in rows? Like, instead of saying print grid, loop through the rows and then print the rows? Just to make it...
Yeah. Print
Well,
row.
that won't do anything, but if you
Oh.
do, like, for a row and grid, and then do the print inside the for loop.
Yeah, okay. Like this?
Yeah, print it.
Okay. Oh, this is
Okay.
it's just doing it twice because I'm also returning. We can get rid of this for now, I guess. And we'll run
Nice.
non-return type. That looks correct for 3. Does it?
Add some ones
Cycle.
around it, or like some 2s around it, just to make sure.
Okay.
Add
in
another row of 2s in the first one right over here. Right there.
okay, right here. What 2s? Like this?
I can't see.
That's fine.
Mess it
We'll
up.
do this. Yeah, and then that one stays the same. What if we add more ones?
God. Messed up my screen again.
Yeah, this looks like it works for at least this example.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like me to run another example?
Okay, sec. Wait, tweaked out my screen. Dude, this VR is annoying me now. Thanks for being the first person in the metaverse to do an interview, though.
I'm honored.
Tweaking.
Who's Jay?
Oh, that's me. That's the second account.
Oh, that's your second one.
Refresh this. Okay, wait. Dude, this thing's annoying. Okay. How do I... Can run the code? Switch language.
Yeah, you want me to run it now?
Wait, give me a second.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, quick tip: how to make your.
How to zoom in and out. I'll zoom this thing. I have to grab my. Alright, zoom out. One sec. Tweak it out.
What's happening?
Wait, I just don't know how to zoom out, like in my adjustable screen.
That
Is this your first time using them?
For a coding interview.
Yeah.
Are you watching the stream? Like the main thing is this freaking screen is just like
I closed it when I
zoomed in.
hopped in the call. I'll open it back up.
You'll see that it just zoomed in really hard. I don't know how to fix
Let's
it.
see.
Don't worry. The technology is good. I'm just bad with it.
Okay.
Wait.
I guess
zoom
since you
out?
can't see the code, does the what do you think about how it should work functionally?
No, like the algorithm is good. We just need to make sure it works properly.
Yeah, okay. Just wanted to make sure I wasn't going off on a tangent, doing something completely wrong.
Oh my god, this is bad. It's annoying. Holy! Okay, start this.
How did you zoom out earlier? I remember you really zoomed in.
I thought I knew. I thought I knew. Okay, start it.
Oh wait, it seems like you're zoomed out now.
Alright, how's the algorithm looking?
To me, it looks fine. For the third test case, it worked. I haven't tested example 1 and 2, but it worked for example 3.
Alright. Okay, cool. How do you think you did?
I think it took me a long time to get the question, or at least think about how to determine if it's a border. I think that was relatively trivial. Once I actually thought about it, I
Yeah.
think it was just nerves. But I think besides that, I think I did okay on implementation. I don't see any bugs, at least the first time I ran it. And then I caught the off by 1 errors, but I think I did
I
okay.
see.
Not the best, not the worst.
Yeah. The main thing is, what I would say is just moving faster on it. I think you knew how to implement the algorithm. The main thing that tripped you out is the border. But when
Yeah,
you really
yeah.
just thought about it, it actually wasn't bad, right? It's just you know when it's a border based on these conditions.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think for you it's more just getting to there faster. But you write the code bug free and everything. It just took a little bit to get there. But
How long was that?
a little bit of it was technical difficulties. So the interview was 50 minutes.
Oh, that was 50 minutes? Oh, holy, okay.
Yeah. But you're just rusty, I think, because you said you haven't done it in a while. So
Yeah, I haven't gone hard in because I got my offer and I just stopped grinding,
yeah.
I guess.
Oh, the algorithm looks good. Let's see. Yeah. No real complaints.
What would you say it was? Do you think that would be a pass or a fail?
Let me think. I think because it took too long, I was hoping to ask 2 questions. It wouldn't have been a pass. Oh.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because I was gonna ask 2 questions. So usually, if they're not fast enough to do 2 questions, it's not a pass.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. But there's some technical difficulties. Okay, I'm retiring this metaverse interview. The heck is this? Yeah. Let's see. Thanks for taking the time out.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you so much for interviewing me.
Appreciate it. Yeah, let me
All
know
right, see
what
you
you
later.
want to do. We'll do a real one when I'm actually more focused, because the whole time I was trying to focus on getting this thing working.
Yeah, we'll hit a real one pretty soon.
All right. Good luck with
Anyway,
everything.
See ya.
All right.
Thanks. See ya.
Bye. All right. That was the first. That was the. Tweaking. Yo, who's in here?
Yo, how's it going, bro? Still
What's up?
doing mocks?
Yeah. What's up?
What's good, bro?
Oh, you ready to do a mock? Okay, we're gonna do it.
Yeah. If you're down.
Yeah, 100%. Holy, this thing got me dizzy. You see that?
Yeah, that was trippy. First and last.
Yeah, 100%. What do you think? Was it good or not?
For the viewers, we couldn't really tell like what he was
going on?
typing or anything like that.
Oh, really?
So, but I guess it was good content.
Yeah. That's funny. Let me get you the. Let me send you something. Is your first time on here?
Yeah, first time on.
Holy, that was trippy. I was in that thing for a while. That was crazy. What is it? Holy, it's already 10. Let's see. Okay, wait. Let me grab something. You couldn't read it on the chat or no?
Nah, like
Oh, really?
on the stream.
Yeah, you couldn't see it.
No,
The quality was bad.
Yeah.
That's so funny. All right, wait. Give me like 30 seconds and grab something.
Cool.
Yo, that was trippy being in there for that long.
Yeah, people are already shorting stocks and everything.
That's so funny. You think I'm gonna get fired if I post that?
Yeah, I don't know if you want to post that one.
Yo, okay. I'm gonna send you this link. Let's see. Okay, so what's your background? Where are you interviewing for and stuff?
I'm also a junior at UFT.
Nice.
I had a couple prior internships. I'm looking for full-time offers right now. I haven't really started interviewing yet. I graduated in November, so yeah, just started applying. Haven't had any interviews yet.
I see. Okay, I'm gonna start up a video. 3, 2, 1. Are you in here? I sent you the.
Yeah.
I don't see you in the.
Yeah, I'm just
All right. Cool.
yeah, there you
All right. 3, 2, 1. Hey everyone. So today I got a University of Toronto junior. He's a student there, and he's going to go through a coding interview. So could you just give a quick background on yourself and also how many LeetCode questions you solved?
Yeah, I'm currently a rising junior at UFT. My lead code, I've done around like 220-ish questions. So mostly the Nico 150, some of them, and then some random like daily problems for a while.
I see. So where have you interviewed so far?
Last cycle, I guess the two ones I can remember, I interviewed at eBay and Amazon,
Nice.
and yeah, I failed both of them. So
So you're just trying to make sure you never
yeah,
fail it again?
something like that.
Alright, okay. We got this. So you did a lot of LeetCode questions since then? So you've been
Yeah,
practicing?
I would say last year I was pretty active on LeetCode. This year not so much, but I do want a couple here and there.
Alright, okay. Let me come up with some good questions. Give me a sec. Let me find you some good questions just to set it up. Okay, got the first question in. I'll post it in. So we're basically giving a flower bed in which some of the plots are planted and some are not. However, some flowers cannot be planted or flowers can't be planted next to each other. So I'm going to post the examples here. So basically what we're trying to do is we're trying to plant flowers in a flower bed. And we want to see if we can plant N flowers. So the main constraint is that we can't plant a flower next to where another flower is. So this one is true because we can plant a flower here. This one is false because we can only plant the flower here, that's one. And now we can't plant the flower anywhere else. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I see. Yeah. Seems pretty simple enough, but I'm wondering if there's any trick to it.
Uh-huh.
So I'll just work with this example here. Okay, so it's like a valid, maybe I'll move it down here. So if you're assuming it's valid and let's say we want to plant 2 flowers, can you see the pointer thing I'm putting on?
Yep.
Yeah, so we can like just kind of loop over and then check if you can place a flower here. So obviously we can't, and then we'll move on to this position. Then we'll ask, well, could we potentially place a flower here? So we'll look left and right and obviously make sure it's inbound. And then, and if it is valid, we can place a flower here and then decrement this by 1. Go over here, we can ask the same question and then we'll check left and right and we'll see if we can plant it. Yeah, we'll kind of exit the loop and then we'll essentially return if n is equal to 0.
Sure.
Cool. So let's say call it can plant. Let's call it an array. We can let's loop over the array.
Looping through the arrays. Wait.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. You went
So,
blank, so I thought
just
my audio
right.
went tweak.
Yeah, sorry. So now I just want to essentially the first position. Let's say I want to check my I minus one, and my I plus one. Um, but before I do that, I want to make sure I don't have any indexing errors. So maybe I can do those checks manually, maybe. So I guess one question I want to ask, if I have a situation like this where I have like two empties here, could I potentially plant one here as well, or no?
You can plant one on the edges. As long as it's not touching, as long as there's not a one right there, you're good.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, maybe I'll loop from the first index to like the n minus one index, essentially. So that way I can just directly check like the out of bounds error and stuff. And then before I go into there, I'll just manually check the first and last position. If that makes sense.
Yep.
So if there's already a flower, if it's equal to 1, we don't really want to do anything with it. So right now that means it's empty. That means so the left position must be 0 and the right position must be 0. So we can place a flower here, and sorry, so we need to take an n here as well. So after this loop executes, we'll have placed all the flowers in the middle, and then right now we just need to check. We need to check the 0th index and the last index. So if the first position is empty and the right position is also empty, we could potentially get into some indexing errors here as well. This is not a very clean solution, but I could do something like if the length is greater than or equal to 2, then I have the second index, and I can do the same for the last position as well. Just let me think how I can kind of put it in the code as well. Okay.
So for I in range 1 to array 1, if array equals 1, continue. If array equals...
Yeah, so let's just loop through the whole array. Let's get rid of the... So right now we're definitely at an empty spot. So I'll have some conditional. So if I is 0, we'll say pass for now. And if I is n minus 1, or not n, length array minus 1, we'll do something else. So if we're at the first index, then we want to check the next index. We know it's a 0. So if array of 1 is equal to 0, then
What
it's
if that's
empty.
out of bounds?
But if it's out of bounds, so So essentially, we want to make sure. So there's at least two things, like the array length is at least 2, then we can essentially check the first index.
Sure.
And yeah, if that's so, then we can just place 1 here, decrement n, and we can do the same thing. So if the last index is empty, sorry, if -2, so before that we can do the same check. I think this should be it. Let me just do like a quick dry run for one of the examples. Yeah, so we'll come over here. We'll see this is not valid. This is the first valid position we'll find. We'll change it to 1. We'll decrement this. We'll come over here, say this. We'll see this is not valid.
Wait,
We'll
walk
come
me
here.
through line by line the actual code here.
Oh. Sorry, yeah. So
Start at 0.
yeah, let's restart. So yeah, so we'll come to the 0th index. We'll see there's already a flower here, so we won't do anything with it. We'll come to the 2nd index. Well, there's not a flower here, so we're gonna enter the if condition. And then, well, I is not the first index or the last index, so we can easily check the left and right bounds. So we'll check the left index, and we'll see that this is not 0. So we'll just skip this one. Like this if statement won't execute. So we'll go to the second index. We'll enter here again, and then here this if statement will execute. So here both of these satisfy. So the I-1 and I+1 are both 0. So we'll plant the flower here. We'll decrement n. Yeah, we'll go forward again. We'll enter this if statement here because it is a 0. So, and then, well, none of the checks would satisfy. So we would not do anything. We'll go here. So we would enter, since it's 0, it would just get skipped. We would exit the for loop. So n would be on 1. And then we would check if we were able to plant all the flowers, and this would return false.
If the length of the array is greater than 2, an array, what's this? Array -2?
This would be like the second last index, or n-2. Maybe that one looks.
This doesn't look like it's gonna work if, like, pretend we have 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Like n equals 1.
Okay, let's see.
Actually,
Yeah, so it would
Well,
come here.
where's this
And then-
return happening? Is this in the for loop or no?
Oh yeah, sorry, it should be outside the for loop. Yeah, we're essentially decrementing however many we can plant, and then we're just checking if we were able to plant everything.
Well, like, what would happen if all of them are 0s and n is the only 1?
Then so let's see. It would enter here, and then. Oh yeah, I see. Yeah, well, I would have to, even before I So yeah, that makes sense. So maybe if n. So as soon as if you ever hit this, we'll return true, and then if we exit the loop, we'll just return false. So for this condition, for this example, so it will not, zeroth position will not get skipped. We'll come over here, we'll check length is greater than 2, and the second position, essentially this position is also 0, so we'll change I, this would be I. This would change this to 1, and we would decrement n, and then after the loop, after the if statements, we'll check if it's 0. It is, so it will just return true.
Okay. Let's see. Yeah, that works a bit better. Let me see.
But I guess the implementation is still a bit dodgy, I would say.
Yeah, is there any way to clean this up?
Yeah, so mostly just the indexing errors. So is it okay if I just like erase this and start from scratch again, or we wouldn't have time
No.
for
Keep
that?
it. Keep it.
Keep it. Okay. Yeah. So
Okay, this it's breaking on this. It's not working on this edge case.
yeah, I would definitely have to implement this better.
So this one should actually return true.
Yeah, so it's skipping this one. Yeah, this is pretty dodgy implementation.
Or like, why should this one return true?
Yeah, because n is so my code is never getting to this point, so maybe we can just do that. Then just
For
nest all
rate
these.
equals 0.
So if it is open spot, then investigate it. If not, then don't. So this will always execute.
If
so
array
it
I
doesn't.
equals 0, investigate it. This will still return. It's not gonna return the right thing here. Right? This should return. It returned true. Wait, if.
So yeah, so this will on the first call it will just essentially skip everything, and then yeah, we'll just hit this one.
Let's see. Just run it on my. Okay, run it on this case.
Oh yeah, this is not good at all. Yeah, I guess the only place where
This is breaking on this case.
yeah, this would be the only problem. So if the length is 1, and if length is 1 and can't think of anything for this, so implement. So essentially, if our array is this, then n must be 0. But yeah. Yeah, this seems like a pretty easy question, but it's 2 a.m. from where I'm, so I can't really. I don't know why I can't really get to like implementation of this.
Let's see.
But
Okay, the problem is it's 0, right? You're looking at 0.
yeah,
So if the I
so
is
this
equal to
would be
0,
true.
it's
Yeah.
this is true, right? But if the length of array is not equal to 2, so I think you need to just generalize your algorithm more.
Yeah, so I would just have to kind of somehow. Okay. Some how I'm thinking is maybe we can have some type of boolean for left and right, and then
Like how could you generalize your left here? How can you always look left? As in,
how can I always look
like
left?
here, how can you look left without all these extra conditions? Or I guess when you're looking when you look left, what should the number be?
It should be like greater than or equal to 0, essentially.
Or what if you look left and you're in the boundary though, like you're at the end?
If I look left and there's like a
And you're
1
at the
beside
first
it.
element. If you
Yeah,
look
so
left and you're at the first element, what should the number be to the left?
0.
Exactly. So what if you just do like, you just look left and you look right, but you have a small condition. We'll say it's gonna be 0 if I minus 1 is less than 0, else array I minus 1. You see how that would work?
Yeah, so this would return. Yeah.
Okay, now try that for the right. And then try to generalize your algorithm after that.
Give me something like that. So left is either 0 if it's it's automatically set to 0 if it's inbound. Oh yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, if it's inbound, then sorry, if it's out of bound, then it's automatically 0, or else it's the value. And right is if it's inbound. If it's inbound, then it's the value, or else it's automatically set default to 0. And if we are at an empty position and left is 0 and right is 0, then place a flower, decrement n, and if we ever get to plant all the flowers, return true or else return false. I guess that, yeah,
Nice.
that seems much cleaner.
If n equals 0. And one thing you should just add is like if n equals 0 off the jump, just return true.
Yeah.
Right? Because if there's n equals 0,
Then
there's
it's
nothing to plant, you're good, right?
Absolutely.
You good for another question or you're cooked now? Let's see.
No, let me try. Let me try
Okay,
one more.
okay, bro. Let's see. Okay, I just ran on LeetCode. Tesco Green. Richie Rich, yeah, I can do interviews tomorrow if you need one. You gotta sleep tonight? Okay.
So that's easy, right?
Yeah, that's just a warm up.
Yeah.
Okay, lock in, lock in.
I gotta redeem myself, chill.
Okay, you're given an array of colors in which there are 3 colors, 1, 2s, and 3s. You're also given some queries, and I'll give it Richie Rich, you're in Toronto. We got a couple of people from Toronto. Let's see. So you're given an array of colors, and you're given a bunch of queries. Each query consists of two integers, I and C. Return the shortest distance between the index I and the target color C. So for query 1, we want to find the furthest one is from a 3. It's 3 away, right? For 2, index 2, we want to find the furthest it is from a 2. It's right on a 2, so that returns 0. And then for index 6, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it wants us to see how far we are away from a 1, and that's also 3. Right?
Yeah, so
Did you get the question?
Yeah, I think so. So go through each query. So this is the index, and this is the target color, and then you could either go left or right until, and you want the maximal distance, not the minimum distance. Oh, sorry, the minimum distance, not the shortest distance. Okay, and if it ever goes out of bound, then just return -1. Cool. So let's go from here. So at the first query, so we want to go to the first index, say here. And then we want to traverse, we want to check if it's already at color 3. It's not, so it's essentially like go left and right till you find color 3 if you can. And if it's out of bound, like it's just -1. So maybe we can go left as much as we can, and then we won't find a solution here. We could go 1. Let me put another pointer here. We could go 3 this way, and then we'll locate a 3 here. So we'll store this answer as 3. And yeah, we'll just do that for each of the queries. So I guess that would be a brute force way to do that.
So at each one, you're gonna look where? To the left or to the right? So pretend I look at index 1, and I need to look for a 3. How do I find the 3?
Yes, since these are not sorted or anything, each query consists of 2 integers. I see. Yeah, it doesn't mention anything about sorted or anything, so I guess we would have to look in both directions, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so we would have to. Let me see if there's anything more efficient.
You have to look in both directions for a 3. And how would you find it? Like, how would you find it? Yeah.
Yeah, essentially, I'll just start iterating to the right from here, and as soon as I hit a 3, like that I could calculate that, like the j minus I, and if I never find it, essentially, like we just so if I never find it, I just put -1.
Yeah. So what would be the runtime complexity of that? Pretend we look at 1, we look for a 3. We
Yeah,
look for
I
1
guess.
again, and we look for a 3. Pretend all the queries are one looking at index 1 and 3, and 3 was at the very end.
Yes, if you had something like this, then if you had something like this, and let's
even
say,
just 1, and then we kept asking for this one,
yeah.
and we kept looking for 3.
Yeah, from here it'll just be essentially n squared. Let's say if you
Yeah.
wanted to look for 3 n times, so go from here, essentially would come up all the way here, and then repeat it for every single position.
Yeah.
So we would just be recreating that pattern. So yeah, maybe some sort of prefix array or something like that. Or maybe it could be yeah, I don't think I can sort it because then I would lose like the ordering. I would lose the ordering of. Yeah, I could definitely not sort the colors. Then if I need a bigger color, essentially I could go right. If I need a smaller color, I could go left. But then I will lose the ordering unless I do some sort of mapping of the indices as well.
Yeah, ordering is important because ordering will tell
Yeah.
you. Because you're trying to find the distance based on your relative index, right? So if you sort it, you lose the indexing, or you lose like where it is in the array.
Yeah, so definitely there needs to be some sort of so some sort of prefix type of idea where like I need to store the data from before, and then so essentially once I let's say once I do the 1-3 query, so essentially starting from index 1, I know that the minimum distance to 3 is 3 steps away, so I need to save that information somehow. So if I ever want to do that query again, essentially let's say I do it from here, or let's say if I have some more ones on, or whatever, let's say I have 0 or anything. So let's say even if I do the query from here, whenever I hit this index and I'm looking for a 3, I know 3 is 3 distance away from here.
Mm-hmm.
So from this index, it will be whatever this distance is plus that distance. Does that kind of make sense?
So the first time you're gonna look for the 3, and then you're gonna store that. The second time,
Yeah.
if you since it's already stored, if you get to a spot that was already calculated before, you'll use it again.
Yeah, something like maybe we can map like the index and the color to like the distance, something like that, and then maybe if we ever hit that index again, so we already know the minimum distance from there, something
Okay, I'll
like
give
that.
you like I'll ask you one thing. Is like, is there a way that as soon as we take in the input, we can pre-compute everything, and then when we run the queries, all the queries will just happen pretty much like all of one time after.
Okay. So as soon as we take the input, pre-compute everything.
Like when we look at an index,
Yeah.
pretend we look at 2, or we look at 1, or sorry, if we look at 1 here, it's like, is there a way to know where is the closest to, like what index to the right, and what is the closest to the left?
I see. Okay, so since there's only 1, 2, and 3, we can kind of.
Like you mentioned like a prefix sum or something like that earlier.
Yeah. So okay, I was just, yeah, maybe I didn't read that right. I thought there would be more than 3 colors. So yeah, for 1, we can definitely ask. So if you come here, we can ask, well, where's the nearest 2 and 3? So essentially this will be here and here. The next one, if it's still on 1, essentially it'll just be like whatever the minimum is. If it's to the right, if you move to the right, it'll be, if the answer was to the left, it will increase by 1, and vice versa. So if the answer was to the right, it will decrease by 1. So we can keep track of that for all these ones. We don't really have to pre-compute it. And if it's like something new, then will try to compute the other two, if that makes sense. So let's say, so for this one, um, so for here, maybe we can compute the distance to the nearest two. Well, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's distance to 2. I'll just start as 5, and then distance to 3 is 7. When we move to the right, for this index, it will be 4 and 6. When we move to, well, so it'll just keep decrementing like that, depending if the answer is to the left or right. But as soon as we, let's say, hit the 2, now we'll need to look for 1s and 3s, if that makes sense. And I can like hash each index to like, so I can create tuples like this, where the first one will be the index, second one will be like the destination essentially, or the target, and then I'll map it to the shortest distance. And I'll just do this for all the indices. And for each of the queries, then I can just return like this tuple of the queries.
Index, the tuple of index 2. Wait, can you repeat that
So
again?
not-
It's very good. So
So let's say I have some sort of hash map,
yeah.
and then I'll essentially take the index, and then sorry, not the index. So source, let's say like from what number? I don't know. Okay, index, and then I want the shortest distance. So for each index, I'll have like stuff like this. And then this will map to, so one of them will map to 0 because it'll just be itself. For example, here, from distance from the 0th index to 1 is 0. Shortest distance from this index to 2 would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then to 3 would be 7. And then essentially I can look these up and just get the answer like that.
Index. What's index? Okay, the index, current index, and the furthest to 1 is 0.
Yeah. And then the current index furthest to 2 is 5. The current index furthest to 3 is 7. And then as long as they're adjacent, so essentially as long as we're moving from 1 to 1 or 2 to 2 or something like that. So if like if they're equal to like the previous value, we can just the answer, we can just increment it or decrement it accordingly. And if it's not, so for example, if you go from this 1 to 2, we'll have to like run a new loop and figure out the distances. So from 2, then obviously from 2 to 2 it'll be 0. From 2 to 1, the distance will be 1, and 2 to 3 the distance will be 2. We'll record that, and then kind of just move on along.
Let's see.
Yeah, that would be pretty.
So for every index, we're gonna calculate this for every index. So there's gonna be one for index 0, one for index 1.
Yeah, so that wouldn't be very.
It's gonna be O of n squared again, right?
So essentially the only optimization here is if you have like a lot of adjacent ones, you don't have to loop through it again. So, but if you don't, yeah, it would be technically O of n squared again. Yeah, it's definitely not a great idea.
So yeah, in this one, it will be O of n squared to figure out the hash map here, because for each one you're gonna look for the closest one and record that. Then you're gonna go for every index you're gonna look for the closest one, the closest two, the closest three, and to do that you're gonna like spread out from each index.
So, okay. All right, maybe let's take a completely different approach. I'm sure I'm out of time.
Yeah, we have a couple minutes left, so just shoot one more shot at it.
Okay, maybe we can phrase it as a graph question, where like
Okay,
the
I don't know
zero
if it'll
node.
be a graph. I can
What do
let
we-
me explain it. Let me give you a small hint.
Okay,
So you're familiar? Could you command Z?
sorry.
Can you command Z? Could you delete it?
Oh,
So are you familiar with prefix sum or something?
yeah.
So what you're gonna do is you're gonna maintain a left hash map and a right hash map. Right? So you're gonna do two loops. One where you move from left to right and one where you move from right to left. And here, pretty much when you're moving from the left, when you start at the 0th index, if you're at the 0th index, you're gonna calculate a few things. Maybe we'll store like a hash map here. But from the 0th index, the closest one that we're to a 0 is like probably negative infinity. The closest one that we're close, or for 1, it's 0. Wait, colors are 1, 2, and 3, right? Okay. 1 would be 0. Right, this would be negative infinity. Negative infinity. Okay, then we move to the right. And then for this index, since it's a 1 again, it's going to be 0. Negative infinity. Negative infinity. But pretend it was a 2. Right? For index 2, what we're going to say is, when we get to index 2, how far is the closest one? It's 1 plus this one. How close is the closest one? So that's 1. And it's going to be 0 here. And then negative infinity. Right?
I see.
So now we know if we do it from the right as well, but then we do it from now, and then we also do it from the right, we get the same thing. But essentially, when we run queries, we could say, okay, 2, where is the closest one? Well, the closest one is 1 to my left, and then we could look how close it is to my right and take the minimum of those.
I see. So some sort of some DP type of idea.
Yeah, it's kind of it's definitely it's like crashing it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Why that would work?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So I'll send the code here. Something like. It's a lot of code. Sorry for giving you a ton of code at 2. Paul, this is interesting question too. Oh, I don't even know. I wrote a ton of code. But you can see here.
I see. Yeah. Well, I'm not too bummed I didn't get this one, but for sure the first one I should have got it in like 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just coping by saying it's 2 a.m. But for sure I definitely
You gotta
gotta
lock in for that,
practice
yeah.
them. Yeah.
Where are you aiming? Like what companies?
Mostly just like the mid-level companies. Like, I have OA coming up for. I got the OA for Intuit, I believe, or it might not be Intuit. It might be something else. Like, definitely not Fang or anything like that. I don't think I'm prepped for that just yet.
Yeah. Cool. So what are your thoughts? Like what do you think you could do to improve here And like, what are some of your pitfalls that you can like self identify?
Yeah, definitely. I need a lot more practice. Maybe just do some more dry runs before heading into implementations. Like, definitely for the first example. Uh, yeah, and
Yeah.
the next one, I'll try not to do it at 2 a.m.
All right, 100%. Just hit me up when the next one is. We'll do.
Yeah,
I'll
for
do more
sure.
scheduled ones.
You usually do like, what's your usual schedule like when you do mock interviews?
I usually do it. Honestly, probably the same time, but usually 5 p.m. PST. But
5
today I
p.m.
was
So like
watching a
it,
Knicks game, so I hopped on after the Knicks game, which was 8. So it's only right now
I
it's
see.
10 or 11 for me, but
I see. Yeah, yeah. So like around 8 p.m. Yeah, that
yeah,
should be good.
yeah,
Cool. I'll definitely try to catch it earlier on next time.
yeah. I think the main thing is you could just simplify your code a bit. So
Hmm.
once I gave you the way to simplify it, you were able to finish it quick. Like usually when the code is really complicated, it leads to a lot of bugs. And then the
Yeah,
other
for
thing is
sure.
handling the edge cases. Your code was tripping out when you were at the 0th index or the last index, and then your code was also tripping out if n was equal to 0. So capturing the edge cases, making sure that your like algorithm can solve the edge cases is just where it tripped up on. So I'll just make sure. I mean, it's all just practice, right? So you
Yeah.
just keep
So
practicing, just make sure.
yeah, essentially just dry running and thinking about edge cases before implementing stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. Thanks for
Cool.
hopping on. Definitely hit
Yeah.
me up when you like keep practicing, and we're gonna run. We'll get you right for the interview season. It's coming up. I mean, you should probably start ramping up soon because your interview recruiting
Yeah,
season is
for
gonna start
sure.
in. It's gonna start August, September, October, November. Like you should start ramping up ASAP.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
All right.
Yeah. I'll see. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, man. Thanks for hopping in.
Later, man.
Peace. See. All right, chat. Thanks for hopping in. We're gonna stream again tomorrow. I killed a lot of time with that. I killed a lot of time with that metaverse interview. I actually don't know if I can post that one. That did not make the metaverse look really appealing. Alpha is shorting the stock right now. Yo, what's everyone's thoughts on the metaverse? Alpha shorting that stock ASAP. Bro, like you have to like pinch and then pull or something like that? I don't know. That was Alright, we're gonna run more of these tomorrow. We're gonna keep vibe coding the website. I should still post it, right? I'll post it as soon as my signing bonus hits. So so I get that. I make sure I get that in case I get fired. Let's see, they're good. Yeah, do coding interview in the metaverse and then also like make them do the mode where it's a pass through and they can see your whole setup. They gotta fight. They gotta fight with Cluely and make sure that they could run these still. But that headset I had was $1,500. And Apple Pro just removed it. They don't do that anymore. They got out of that business. Yeah, Meta Pro. It probably dropped in price, but like yeah, they dropped it. It came out. It used to be 1,500, but they dropped the price. So the Quest Pro is around like 18 or $800 now. So it's listed at 1,000, but this thing is kind of old, so it used to be listed at way more. I'll just type it, bro. Bro, just look on. Actually, look on Levels FYI. Look at Levels FYI. Can't give you the exact. Actually, I don't care. What else is everyone saying? Bro, I'm actually gonna get fired after this one. After that metaverse video. Dollars. Let's see. What are y'all up to tonight for the long weekend? Yo, what's up? What's up? Thanks for tuning in. Where are you based? Damn. Okay, that was fun. Hilarious content with the metaverse thing. See. Alright. Thanks for tuning in. We're gonna do this again some other time. Let's see what else. Let's see if any. We got this more. Sick. Okay. Thanks for tuning in. That was some funny content. I'll see y'all in the next video. Maybe just hit me up. Hit me up on the chat whenever y'all want. I'll do a bunch of resume reviews. Maybe I'll do a stream where I just straight do resume reviews and people send it in. But catch y'all in the next stream. Have a good night. Thanks again for tuning in. I appreciate y'all all the time for tuning in and making this fun. Hope y'all learned some stuff. Have a good night. Peace.